Okay, today we're going to attempt to paint some roses with watercolor. I wet my paper, I put down a light wash. I've got 2 bowls of water. I'm using my Gallo paints. I've got 2 reds mixed up. I'm using my triangular brush in the brush number 6 that actually comes with the Gallo set. It's a travel brush. Got my rag. Um, I had actually already videoed this part and then realized I didn't have my microphone on, so I'm like, well, we'll just start here. So I've got a few hard edges here I want to work with. Smooth them out. This is 140-pound paper. Cotton paper. It's actually a sample, one of the samples from a sample pack I purchased from Etcher. They send you all different weights of paper so you can try them out. Okay, we got some blobs. Now I need a little bit of green for some. So Gallo is made in Italy, and it's got a mixture of honey in it. It's really cool. It's a totally different um, concept and paint. So that's still wet. I'm just moving it around a little bit to get it to bleed a little bit, but not into the pink. Hopefully I've got that dry enough. So put it down, push, pull up, and then the other side. I'll mix a little bit of yellow into a few of these. Paper up there is kind of dry. Just making some green stems. Not too many. Okay, then I'm going to take some darker color here. This is a blue. Because this has bled a little bit. And this is feathering, so you can just mop it up. You probably hear my doggy. I'm taking a little blue and a little green and just making this darker. Okay, so right here I dropped a drop of water by accident. We're just going to leave it. It might give us some cool or nice texture. You could drop some yellow in here. Okay, we're going to let that dry. I'm going to dry it with a heating tool, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have dried this, and we're going to put the second layer on the rose. I'm going to use the triangle brush this time. It's the extra small, and we're going to use the darker color. And I'm going to use the point. Hopefully you can see this. I'm going to use the point to just make some squiggly lines. Then I'm going to take plain water, come out here and touch the edges. And again, be sure and leave some whites. And it doesn't really matter which color you use. So this one here is not moving. So I can take a little, clean off my brush, take a little bit of water, and kind of help that along. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm kind of OCD, really. So I just tend to want to make it even, but it does not have to be even. So there's the first one. The other two are going to be smaller. So my brush is clean, and I'm going to get this darker pigment, and I'm going to make a little C or squigglies. And I just start out with the lighter. So really you have the light, the middle, and the dark on this. And it's just a group of C strokes. This triangle brush is kind of nice because it gives you some little petal. Okay, so I'm going to I'm going to tap in some darker color on the edge of the petals. And then I'm going to just take some water and start moving it around. And if you look over here and you're like, well, that's drying, but I'd like it a little bit darker before it dries, you can drop in a little bit of dark because it's going to dry lighter. So you can always add a little bit. And then if it's dried, you can get you just a little bit of water and come up underneath it. You can always add some water and let it run a little bit if you want. It's a little bit too much water. So there's a happy medium. So here I need some more dark. As you can tell, my hand did not want to go that way. Sometimes it can get awkward if you're right or left-handed, for sure. And we're gonna, so the different values are important. The different layers are important. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen up some of this paint with clean water. Actually, I'm going to use the other brush. It's bigger. And get some of these hard edges. Do you see what I just did? I just stuck my finger in this one. We'll just fix that one now. So this also kind of gives you a good background. You just have to use a lot of clean water. And as you can tell, my paper is very, very, very saturated. So I do have a Kleenex. Like some of these are really big puddles. You can dab up, like right here, I've got a whole lot. This brush holds a lot of water too. So just dab it up and then do it again, lighter. So we're just loosening that paint, moving it out. And I'm going to take it all the way to the edge because I actually am going to put this on a hardboard. So one thing I'm going to do, because I melded everything together, is I'm going to darken some of these lighter spots just so it doesn't look so white. They'll still be lighter, but they won't look bright white since there's really nothing in this that is. So I am going to dry this and we'll come back and I'm going to do another layer on the leaves and we are done. The roses are done. So I'll be right back. Okay, I dried this and when I did, a lot of the edges of the petals really faded out. So I worked on it a little bit off camera. And I took the almost pure pigment of the darkest red and went around the edges and then took a little bit of water with my triangle brush to try to control the water and just barely tipped the edges and blended everything out. So as you can see, it's buckling because I've got so much water on here. So I'm going to have to flatten it when I finish, but I wanted to go ahead and finish this up. It's still a little damp, but not too bad. So we're going to do some, we're going to strengthen the leaves a little bit. And I'm going to get a little bit of this darker color. It's actually called Naturno, and it's like a brownish purple. It's really cool. And then I want some regular brown here as well. And lastly, I'm going to take a little bit of this blue and just make a little bit darker green. Okay, so I'm going to use my triangle brush for this. And we're going to enhance these leaves. So with the color we put in before, it just gives them a little bit of character. I have too much water on this. I lost my leaf here. I'm just doing different layers for something a little bit different. Just be cautious of where your leaves or roses are so you're not covering them up. So see, this one when I originally did it was down in here, but then the rose looked funny because the leaf was too far down. So I ended up changing that composition. So actually that rose is on top of that leaf. I think I did the same thing here. My leaf was a little bit, looked weird. Because so typically I'm going to actually put one in here to kind of counterbalance that because we got some really big ones. So usually you tape off your painting, but I am actually going to be using, I cut this down originally to a 5x7. So see right here, I'm going to have to do it anyway. It looks like the stem's coming out of the rose. But I'm going to be using a 5x7, so I went ahead and cut it down to a 5x7 because I'm not going to frame it. Like I said, I'm going to put it on a panel board and well, what's the word? I use cold wax. I have a video on that. You can actually put cold wax on a watercolor and you don't have to put it behind. Glass and matte. That looks kind of awkward, but I'm going to leave it. It's not that big a deal. Watercolor out. So you rinse your brush off. Clean water. And wipe it up, but you gotta wipe your brush every time. Too much water. Because you're just putting that color back in if you don't. Loose style. Need to get a little bit more of this green merged on this paper here. It seems like I don't have anything down here on this corner. So I'm going to just kind of soften that up and blend it out. You can kind of blur these if you want. Since everything's kind of a no sense in that being so straight and perfect. Okay, and there you go. So this is driving me crazy because that is not realistic. So what I think I'm going to do, I said I was done, and I also said I was OCD. I'm going to blend or try to wipe up this part of the rose. Because that does not look realistic. So this leaf could be covering up part of the rose. So therefore, what I'm going to have to do is dry this and then bring those two leaves down to the rose. And I think we'll be good because then the rose will be behind the leaf. I'll be right back. Okay, I've dried it off, and what I have decided to do, because these are small and all the other leaves are large, I'm actually going to put a large leaf in here, and I think it'll balance it out. And then right in here is really bare, so I could put some imaginary, not imaginary, parts of leaves to kind of fill that in. Do a little bit of negative painting. Because in here you really wouldn't see any light. Okay, there, that'll work. Actually, we need one over here. That looks funny. I'm going to do a little one. It's funny when you do this and you look at it when you're finished, it's like, no, that don't work. That's not right. So you just fix it. I'll leave that kind of light. Take up just a little bit of that color. And the last thing I'm going to do is take this brush and soften these hard edges. There you go. There's my 3 roses and leaves. And I thank you so much for joining me today. I wasn't planning on painting this, but I thought, well, I need to practice some more, and since I'm going to do it, I might as well video it, and then I have somebody to talk to while I'm doing it. Just doing a few little squiggly things to make it pretty. This triangle brush has got a very fine point if you use it backwards. So I like that. Now these I'm not going to blend out. I'm going to let them stay because they're so fine. I think that's it. Maybe do one right here. that is it. Let me know what you think. Try this. Never hurts to try. I'll list what I used in the description box, but as always, use what you have. What I use does not have to be used. You could even do this with acrylics if you wanted to, just get some different value and give it a try. So with that pink reddish showing through there, that says that the rose is behind those leaves, which makes more sense to me. I just totally messed it up earlier when I stuck the stem right in the middle of um, the rose. So we're going with that. That'll work. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. I appreciate it, and I thank you for all your support. Have a great day.